Hi, I'm Nick Upton, technology editor with Food on Demand. Today we're exploring some of the most important things to think about when marketing and branding on third-party platforms. We have a lot to cover, and I feel like we could talk about this all day, especially with these two fantastic guests who are joining me. Laura Sandoval, Global Head of Enterprise Sales at Ubereats, and Steph So, Head of Digital Experience at Shake Shack. Laura, can you tell us about your role at Ubereats a little bit?
Hi, everyone. I'd love to tell you about my role. Our team helps merchants and brands promote their restaurants on our platform. And we're going to get into all of those marketing tools that we leverage in a little bit. Excited
Wonderful.
to be
And
here.
Steph, can you tell us about your role at Shake Shack?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I oversee all of our digital channels here at Shake Shack and all of our digital marketing. So excited to talk about how we think about our brand in all these channels.
Yeah, it's great to have both of you here. I can't wait to talk with you about what's working, how to do it, because I think rebuilding a branded portal or whatever you want to call it on these third-party platforms can be quite daunting, especially after you've built your brick and mortar brand and you have to translate that to an online audience. And I'd like to start with branding at a high level, then get into the nitty-gritty of marketing. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, Steph, can you start us off with how you think about branding on these marketplaces and how that might be different from your traditional skill set in brick and mortar signs and real world?
Yeah, sure. So Shake Shack thinks about brand marketing with three key pillars in mind. So anything that we do, we want to make sure we keep first that our food raises the bar. We use premium ingredients and we like to communicate that whenever we're doing any sort of external facing marketing. Our second brand pillar is that we're an asset to our neighborhoods. So the work that we do with the local community, reinvesting in communities and partnering with local organizations is a huge part of our brand. And then the third pillar for us is that it's not just about food, it's an uplifting experience. So when we think about these three pillars and translating that into the delivery channel, we still think all three of them can work very well in a third-party channel. So food raising the bar, how we use our photography to show our food in that digital channel is really important to us. Uber's been a great partner as we've been an asset to our communities. So one example is every year we do a Pride Shake, and Uber also has a big Pride initiative, and we kind of coordinate those efforts so we can be an asset to that cause together. We find that 1-2 punch really powerful. And then, we're always looking for opportunities to put uplifting experiences into the delivery channel. So we can talk a little bit more about some of the ways that we do that.
Wonderful. And yeah, Laura, anything to add about the unique aspects of branding on a marketplace like Ubereats?
Yeah, absolutely. Branding encompasses really all of the things that a brand and a merchant does to really shape how a consumer views them. And on Ubereats, that means everything from your storefront image, or the hero image as we call it. And this is the first image that a consumer sees of your restaurant. So how can you show the best and most compelling images, whether that's your signature dishes, signature packaging, say your signature shake in the case of Shake Shack. Then once a consumer clicks into your menu, how are you making sure that those menu items are craveable? And that's through photography. And really having an organized menu, of course, that makes sense to the consumer with the right categories is also really important. Things like using cuisine tags that are relevant to your menu also help you become more searchable and helps consumers find you more easily. And Steph, I know that Shake Shack has done a lot of work on menu branding and optimization. Can you share some of the work that you guys have done?
Yeah, I think, when I first started at Shake Shack, we were not typically refreshing our hero image on Ubereats as consistently as we now do. So every season at Shake Shack, we have a new culinary item, a new fleet of culinary items. So our limited time offerings can be a sandwich, a set of lemonades, a set of shakes. And our goal is always to showcase those hero items in a really impactful shot. So as Laura was saying, the hero shot is really important. We now actually shoot for that specifically when we launch a menu item, that we kind of consider what the third party experience will look like. And so rather than shooting those items individually as sandwiches, as shakes, and as lemonades, we actually put them all together in one big menu spread. So we can kind of give the full breadth of the Shake Shack menu and these limited time offerings in one really craveable image. And that allows us all to optimize that hero image for longer. So it can be up on the Uber Eats marketplace for a significant amount of time, and it gets some time to acclimate, and also gives the guests some time to start to recognize some of these limited time offerings as Shake Shack. And, you know, they may not have associated that with our brand initially, but it starts to build its momentum within the platform.
Interesting. I love that you make a special effort to shoot these images for third-party platforms. You know, there's only so much real estate there on your phone or web portal, so that makes a lot of sense. And can you go a little deeper on the tagging aspect of this? I mean, I think discoverability is so important. Any best practices there from Steph or Laura?
Yeah, I think that all of the relevant cuisine types or tags like sandwich, like burger, like shake, you want to identify those and use those. Again, so that if an eater, a consumer is searching for a milkshake, then they're able to find you.
Yeah, and I think we even optimize within the sort. So, you know, for a while we had special categories, like our limited time offerings would be close to the top of the menu, but we would double expose them. So a pride shake or a seasonal holiday shake would be close to the top of our menu within Ubereats, but then we would double expose it again in the shake category, again in lemonades if we had special lemonades. And one of the insights we got from the Ubereats team early on was our menu is pretty focused and in some ways a little too short. And that was an interesting learning for us, because we always thought, well, isn't shorter better, so that folks can quickly make their way through and make decisions? What we ended up finding is actually part of the experience is the scroll, and part of the experience is kind of perusing and taking your time. So with that insight, we started to double expose and, you know, open up some of our items, so we were giving a little bit more playtime in certain categories.
Wonderful. Thanks for going deeper there. I find that aspect of it very fascinating, since it's a little different than other kind of search platforms out there. You know, I want to shift to in-app marketing. There's so much more consumer choice now on third-party platforms. Putting together a coherent strategy is vastly more important today than, let's throw out a date of February of 2020, right before every brand went online. Laura, can you walk us through these three categories of in-app marketing, you know, ads, promotions, and loyalty programs?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we first start by understanding and learning more about what a merchant's objectives are and listening to what's really important to them, right? So once we have a clear objective and we know what merchants want to accomplish, then we can begin to build a marketing strategy and a plan that's really grounded and anchored in those objectives, right? And those objectives can be things like driving more new eaters or a growing basket size or driving more sales, period. And we have the powerful marketing tools on Ubereats to be able to
I wanted to bring those up. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a very good layout of these various strategies and platforms. Do you want to walk us through these?
Yeah, it can walk you through our marketing tools using the consumer journey. And while we all know that the consumer journey is not a linear path, we'll use a marketing funnel to walk through our typical consumer journey. And so at the top of the funnel is awareness. Consumers first need to know about you. So you need to be visible and you need to be discoverable. And that is the absolute first step. And this is key because there are millions and millions of hungry consumers that come to Ubereats monthly. And many of them still don't know what they want to eat. And they're looking to discover. They're looking to be inspired and looking for maybe to even be reminded of the places that they love. And at the same time, consumers are faced with a lot of options. We have thousands and thousands of restaurants on Ubereats. So what can help a restaurant get noticed is ads. Ads help a restaurant rank at the top of the feed of a long list of options. And that prominent placement allows you to get more consumers looking at your storefront. And in fact, ads can drive over 27% more new consumers for SMB merchants. So you run ads, you have a whole bunch of new consumers. They're clicking on your restaurant, they're looking at your menu. And so how can you make it more enticing for them to place an order? And that's where our promotions come in. They can help you convert that menu view into an actual order. And depending on the actual promotion type, they can also help you increase your basket size. We have a bunch of different promotions and special offers. Things like a free item with purchase or buy one, get one free. You spend X and you save Y. And all of these help convert that menu view into an order. And our merchants can see up to 50% more orders when using promotions. So you've got a whole bunch more consumers using ads, and you turn them into an order through a promotion. And the next stage is, how do you continue an ongoing relationship and keep them coming back and reward them for your business and for their business? And that's when loyalty programs come in. They encourage repeat regulars, and loyalty programs on our platform are easily customizable. You can have them be either order-based or spend-based. And ultimately, these loyalty programs help you have a long-lasting relationship with loyal customers. And, we also often get asked the question from merchants and brand partners, should they be doing all of these things at the same time? And when should they be activating these things? And the most important thing is to have a consistent strategy, running ongoing ads or offers or both together, because running promotions in conjunction with ads can actually amplify the impact of both. So they are better together. But ultimately, having an ongoing strategy that is consistent, I think, is key.
Wonderful. And I love this slide. We have some more examples of those various activation points. But Steph, is this how you think about that funnel in Shake Shack as well?
For sure. And I think we have a lot of great examples of having done each of those types of activations with Ubereats. So I can show a couple of examples here. Like Laura was mentioning, when we do offers and promotions, one of the things that we've done in the past is this buy one, get one free on our limited time offerings. So this is a promotion we just ran with Ubereats. It is a buy one, get one free on a bourbon bacon cheddar burger and chicken sandwich. And what was interesting about this promotion is, like Laura said, we tried to combine two tactics. So we were using this offer, which was buy one, get one free. We also combined that with a sponsored ad that we were running at the time on Ubereats. But the third benefit to this, which was kind of not mainly in the third-party channel, was we were at the end of our LTO. So we were at the stage where we were ready to take this limited time offering off of our menu. And we actually were facing an interesting situation where we over forecast a little bit and we had a little extra supply. So our thought was, let's make sure we run a really, really aggressive offer on this for a long period of time on a third-party channel, because it's a great opportunity if someone hasn't tried this offering yet to really get them to sample something new on our menu. And it's become a strategy that we use more often now because we see a huge lift in sales. We saw a 25–30% lift in sales over the days of this promotion. And then the side benefit for our supply chain team is there's much less waste at the end of a limited time offering. So we can kind of forecast more aggressively and not worry that we're going to be left with too much waste at the end of an offering like a bourbon bacon.
I'm always a fan of this BOGO. It gets me every time. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah,
I love this too.
And then I guess we could also go back and talk a little bit about some of the other tools that Laura highlighted. So one of the other things, aside from promotions and ads, we do these marketing partnerships as well. And one example of one of those is in late 2021, we worked with Ubereats to do a big promotion with Klay Thompson, who was is an NBA player, now a national champion, and offered an exclusive bundle on Ubereats, which was a 3-item bundle. It was a chicken sandwich, a chocolate shake, and a crinkle cut fry. And we offered a bundle for the first time for $11, which is Klay's number. And it was a really interesting opportunity, like Laura was saying, for us to reach out to a new audience that we hadn't really tapped before. So sports is a really big part of our brand. We find sports to be a very uplifting experience, back to our brand pillars. Klay really played into that with his, getting Ubereats delivered while he was on a boat, which is not a real thing that Ubereats offers, but definitely was really fun to do for this promotion. And what we saw with this was a huge lift in new eaters. And I think back to the power of using a third party to drive, we did use that, promotion to drive new eaters to Shake Shack, a lift in sales and a lift in average order. So the new audience and the wide press coverage that both Uber and Shake Shack got out of this kind of created this moment for us where we were able to capitalize on an audience that we hadn't really tapped before.
Yeah.
So just another way to take it to the nth degree, and really capitalize on the power of two brands working together.
Wonderful. I love that. And yeah, Laura, anything to add on programs like this? I see a lot more swag and a lot more of these offers and like little perks on the platforms, and I love the idea.
Yeah, these are massive campaigns that leverage the billboard, as we call it, which is really top of the feed, and we get a lot of impressions on that billboard. And then there's also complementary pieces, things like direct email and push notifications that help support and then drive and pull in that traffic. So there's the folks that are coming in to Uber Eats and are already there and seeing that message, and then there's the folks that we're pulling in through an email or a push notification. And those things all sort of complement campaigns of this scale.
Wonderful. And yeah, I mean, we see the numbers, the results right there. And that's a great lift for Shake Shack for sure. Can you talk us through sort of what ranges do you expect to see as far as ROI or how we should think about activating these sort of campaigns as what's going to come back to the restaurants?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a key there is making sure that brands have and merchants have a bit of a flexible strategy and thought around finding the right promotions that work best and the right offers that work best. And it really does vary. For some brands, things like spend $20, $25, save, get $5 off, the spend X, save Y is the most effective. But for others, this BOGO example is more compelling. And so really testing and learning, I think, is a key part of finding what works best for a brand. But we do see strong sales lift across all of our marketing tools. I referenced earlier that promotions can drive up to 50% more sales, and that can generate, up to a 10x return on investment. So the investment is coming back and you're getting new eaters and you're flowing them through the journey, and then you're able to recapture them. We'll talk a little bit more later about targeting and how you can be more targeted in who gets to see your promotion and who gets to see your ad, so that in fact you are pulling in the folks and those consumers that you really want.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, I would add on to that our goals actually ranged in these types of campaigns from awareness driving. So definitely using a very expensive NBA player like Klay Thompson is not going to ROI in the moment, but our goal was really about reaching a new audience and some of the brand awareness and press coverage we were able to get from it. However, the ROI of the ads that we ran to go along with this campaign is where we saw the stronger ROI. So my advice to any business looking at how they market with Uber Eats is really to be very clear about the objective at the beginning and know which lever you're going to pull against which metric you're really trying to drive. Because I think to Laura's point about testing, each of these tactics have a very kind of different effect, and you really got to know upfront whether it's new eaters, whether it's immediate ROI, or whether it's traffic or even just awareness of a new item or a new offering that you might have.
Yeah, thanks for walking through that. And Steph, what are some of the most important skill sets for a team that's exploring that kind of stuff? Because I think that's its own skill set and a subset of skill sets just for the third parties out here.
Yeah, I think, at Shake Shack, we actually have dedicated a team member just focusing on third party. It's become a hugely important channel to us. And her goal is really optimizing these channels and thinking through the creative. And, when we started this conversation, I'd said she really focuses on how we can make our brand come to life in the same three pillars within this channel. So it does translate into menu optimization, into specific photography. And those are things we didn't do until we had allocated someone directly to this role. And when we think about menu optimization, as you can see, we really are looking at images that we think can really come to life in the platform, which is very different than the photography that we use on our own channels, on our kiosks, on our app and our website. So in some cases, we're able to reuse certain images. So the product image, for example, that you see here with the 3 shakes, we're able to use that in our own platforms as well as in Uber Eats. But the image at the bottom, which is our famous black truffle burger from last winter, this is an image that was shot specifically for third party. And our thought here was really to show the breadth of the menu, all the different items that were available only for holiday. So I think one of the key things is when we dedicated a team and a person specifically focused on this, we were able to look at what are the goals and the metrics that we were getting back from each of the promotions, and also tailoring our strategy and our marketing and really honing that in so that now we have a really great rhythm with our team at Ubereats, and we know exactly what metrics we're going to try to hit, so we can kind of not only hone it, but try to get better every time. So each of those metrics, we're really trying to drive higher ROI, more new eaters, more redemptions on a promo, and it builds over time.
Fascinating. And, Laura, I think optimizing that marketing funnel is an entire industry, and Steph is clearly very adept there, but scratching the surface, what other ways do you see successful restaurant partners optimize their in-app advertising?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it was referenced before, which is you have to start with those marketing objectives. What are you trying to accomplish, right? Because if it's all about new eaters, then your strategy is going to be targeted at all new eaters. And the targeting that you apply to an ad or the targeting that you apply to an offer and who gets to see it is going to tie back to that. But coming back to the idea of like testing and iterating, right? So that's really how you optimize. And that's where you learn what's going to work best for your restaurant and for your consumers. For example, testing offer types in different day parts, or testing different targeting to find out who is actually more receptive to a specific offer. All of those things are really important. So having a disciplined approach and how you do that is critical. And I think, we've also talked about it, this idea of running all of these things together, I think is really important. The amplifying power that they have on each other, running both ads and promotions together, I think is also a really compelling way, and also helps you find the right mix. Not all offers may need to be boosted by an ad, but then certain offers that get boosted by ads have, an outsized impact. And you won't know that until you start, testing and iterating.
Yeah, certainly. And, drilling down a little bit there, what is the day-to-day of that testing and iteration? How does one of your restaurant partners, how do they get into this this flow of split testing, tweaks, or everything like that?
Yeah, it depends on how sophisticated a brand and a merchant wants to get. But all of those things are possible. Do you want to look at specific markets and run a specific promotion in certain markets? Do you want to split the market and run it in half of the locations? And I think all of those things are important, but the more important thing is that you have to control for variables, right? Things like weather, seasonality, all of those things impact the demand, right? The number of people that are coming to Ubereats. And so you need to take those things into account. But ultimately being able to compare what happens when you're running versus what happens when you're not running an ad or a promotion, I think that's ultimately going to tell you the impact. But the impact that you'll see immediately, right? Which is, that's the benefit, that you could see impact. You could know exactly how many new eaters brought in. You can see exactly how many people redeemed, and ultimately what you spent and the return that provided you. So you're getting that real-time feedback on the different promotions and different things that you're testing. But typically you'd want to run these things for, 1 to 2 weeks at a minimum in order to really capture any variability in the market.
Okay, wonderful. And Steph, any best practices that you've developed on the team? How granular do you get? Is it testing when it's raining versus snowing? I'm curious.
We get very granular, and I loved what Laura was saying about testing regionally. One story I remember was we had a situation where we had 2 restaurants within a pretty close radius of each other, 2 Shake Shacks, and one of them had a grease fire and had to close. Okay. And that manager said, wow, I'm in a really tough spot because I normally have 2 restaurants producing, it was a long holiday weekend. He was disappointed that he was going to lose half the sales because one of the restaurants had to be closed. But he said, it's not safe for folks to be in the restaurant, but I can actually run delivery out of this restaurant. So we ran a promotion with Ubereats just specifically for the one location that we knew was closed to customers dining in, but was open for delivery. So we get very, very, very granular. We had a little offer on just for that location, and Uber really partnered with us in that way. Another story I can think about was before we opened a restaurant in Jersey City, we had Ubereats help us with their tablet program. And we had a truck. We had a Shake Shack truck in Jersey City on the water just for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Uber was our primary source of taking orders because it was too chaotic to have folks trying to walk up to the truck and order directly from it. So, we kind of switched our strategy and said, let's just use the tablet so we can be a little bit more organized about how those orders come in. So we get very, very granular in some of our testing, and it allows us to really lean into pockets where there are opportunities. And actually, in the case of a restaurant closing, we can back all the way out and say, this is one location that we're not going to touch at this time. So, all of this, of course, requires the right amount of attention to the team, the right amount of feedback and support from Uber. So I think we've really honed that relationship too, to where, they understand at this point what some of our goals are, and we're able to really dive into these key opportunities together.
Wonderful. And those all sound like fascinating tests, natural tests, some unnatural tests. I hope your restaurant is back up and running after the fire there. Laura, do you want to walk us through how Uber works with a brand like Shake Shack to do these kind of things? Because I think that's something that a lot of brands, they struggle with. It's nice to have a hand to hold, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We, for our enterprise brands, we have dedicated folks on our delivery team that are partnering with folks like Steph and folks on her team to ensure that we have a clear understanding of what their marketing objectives are, that we know when their limited time offers are coming, and that we're aligning really anything that we're doing. I think it was referenced earlier for Pride, right? Pride, and there are a number of other really important important priorities for us that we do create unique consumer messaging for. And so tying into those things where there's opportunities is really important. But ultimately being able to support the objectives and growth goals of what a brand is trying to accomplish, I think is critical. And really that being in lockstep, and also bringing to our partners what we have on the runway, what's coming, what's new. What are some of the new things that we can be testing and piloting together, I think is really important. Shake Shack is such an innovative brand, and they're always looking to be that beta partner with us and try new things. And it's fine if not everybody fits into that category. Sure. Right. But it's okay. And there are plenty of brands that want to wait until, products are proven before they activate and choose to jump on board. But really that's ultimately, that comes back to objectives, right? Like, do we want to be on that leading edge of trying new things? Or do we want to go with, kind of the sure thing where my return is predictable? But it's really all of those ways. It's, the reference around menu optimization and that partnership, and we have so much data and insights, and we don't share data, we share the insights, right? Like ultimately, we want what we share to be impactful and actionable, right? So the implication of having a very short menu is that, consumers might think, there's not enough here for me, right? And be able to optimize that and find that what is that right number of menu items that will help drive that better conversion. So it's partnership on all fronts, on menus, on marketing, on what's new, on all of it.
That sounds like a fun place to be, on the bleeding edge with Uber, testing some of these new things. And you touched on Uber and Ubereats' obsession with data, and I've been hoping to get a slice of that data, and I grab onto every little bit I can. But getting back to the tactics a little bit, what does the data tell you about how to best structure some ads for the best returns? I think you probably have a better view on this than most people out in the world. I know this will vary by restaurant, but any best practices you can share around, just structuring an ad?
Yeah, it definitely varies by restaurant. So I definitely want to reiterate that. And it also depends on the objectives, right? First, again, coming back to this point of having an ongoing commitment to growing your restaurants are really important, and an ongoing commitment to activating these levers is really key. I think first and foremost, experimenting, keep coming back to this idea of having flexibility in how you structure things and learning and having that mindset is really important. And it's important because things like finding the right budget that you're allocating, what is the right weekly budget? Again, completely varies, and really finding what that right level is where you're capturing the most demand on the table, I think is critical. And then once you identify the right level of investment that you want to make or what is optimized investment based on what you've learned, and then deciding on who you want to target. Do you want to go after everybody? Because you want to pull in both those returning eaters and those new, or do you just want new? Do you really just want to grow your eater base of new? And that's the way you want to accomplish that. And so having those things top of mind. So both of those things, so you set your campaigns. What you don't want to do is sort of set it and forget it. You should be actively monitoring your campaigns and seeing the results that you're getting. And if they're not, the results that you want to be seeing, then you could be doing something different. You could easily pause a campaign, reset, and try something different. So coming back to this idea of really doing some experimentation, but you do want to leave it, you do want to leave campaigns on for at least a week. Because the system has to learn, right? The algorithm has to sort of adapt, find those eaters, those consumers that are most receptive to that ad, to your brand, because you need to give it some time to learn. But then again, do you need to pivot? Do you want to see something slightly different? You can do that, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, certainly. And Steph, I see you nodding along, but any best practices around, the tactics of building a great ad campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as a marketer and as a brand, what's going on in your four walls. So we really encourage our team to always be thinking about how can a campaign on Uber Eats marry with whatever else is going on. So, we get really granular in thinking about some of these things, like Pride as a campaign is a great one to be a part of, but we're also cautious of driving too much traffic if there's something else going on at that restaurant. So when Laura says think about it as 1 or 2 week increments, I think that's right in terms of testing and then also giving your restaurant a chance to be organic for a period of time or be on your own channels for a period of time. And then we're in an interesting situation where we also are balancing other third parties. So we like to give each third party a clean testing window. So we're not creating too much noise with other partners at the same time. We really feel strongly about giving each partner a clear window so we can clearly measure their impact. And we also are very careful when we're launching new items. So when we're launching something brand new, the restaurants are learning something new, we're blowing out all of our marketing in a particular moment. Those are sometimes the times to not also be running a huge promotion with Uber Eats at exactly that moment. So we really think carefully about our cadence. And really all that has to do is the bang for your marketing buck. You want to put it in a time where there's a campaign that you're trying to sustain or a key objective you're trying to support, or like the bourbon bacon example, the end of a campaign that you're really trying to run out supply and make sure that you're giving it one last big push. And we've started to learn a little bit, now that we know a little bit about the power of the tools, we've really started to think carefully about where we slot them in the life cycle of the other campaigns that we're running. So all of that is just to encourage folks to think about what's happening in the four walls of your restaurant as well, and make sure that you can kind of create those distinct experiences. So you're not driving a ton of couriers in a moment that there's also a parade happening right in front of the restaurant, which is, just all of the ninja effort that is required when you're running a restaurant and trying to optimize all these digital channels at the same time.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for walking us through that. And, I think a lot of the industry has some catching up to get to Shake Shack's level and insight on these ads. Laura, I'll let you wrap us up here. What's the best way to get on that track to get from your I haven't done anything as far as advertising to Shake Shack level?
Yeah, absolutely. Shake Shack level is certainly a top-notch tier level, and so I think all brands can get to that place, no matter how small or large that you are. So first and foremost, let's get you started. If you haven't already started and exploring ads, exploring promotions, and how they can impact your business, you can go to merchants.ubereats.com. We have a lot of different resources to help you understand very easily how to get these started very quickly. 1-minute videos will walk you through the tools, how to set up your budgets, how to set up your windows, and get going to start learning.
Yeah, having done a lot of advertising kind of stuff, I know Uber makes it a lot easier than the Google Analytics or the other things out there. So well, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Steph and Laura, and sharing your insight on these very important and sometimes confusing topics. And thank you to the audience. I truly hope you got a few bits of wisdom from Steph and Laura, and you are going to embark on your journey to get to that Shake Shack level of third-party platform marketing. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.